Hello everyone. In this video, I'm gonna talk a little bit about a research proposal and its components. I also wanna discuss about how you can make your research topic more specific. What is a research proposal? It's a description of what is planned in the research project, and it has several sections including an introduction, literature review, research design, data analysis, and bibliography or references list. In this brief video, I'm going to focus on the introduction. In the introduction, you're gonna talk about your research topic and its significance, why it is significant to study this topic. In the class discussion, I requested you to share your topic of interest, and you did a great job. You shared very interesting topics for study like homelessness, burnout among social workers, mental health, family abuse, and all these topics are viable and interesting to study. And I'm gonna provide some tips here that how you can make your research topic more specific. And gonna use the example of homelessness to provide more clear examples. First step, and before I go through the tips, why it's important to have more specific research topic, because this makes your research more feasible, more doable, and more effective research. And also you can have a better research design about your data collection, your sampling, and other steps of the research. First step to make your research topic clear and specific is start with what is interesting for you. You may focus on a social problem like burnout among social workers, or you may start with a population, like you may say, I'm interested in studying the homeless population, or you may start with any kind of social phenomenon, like any social policy or anything that's interesting for you and you'd like to learn about. After you choose your area of interest, in the next step, try to be more specific about what aspects of this social problem are more interesting for you, or what subgroups of this population are more interesting for you. Like, for example, you may say, I'm interested in studying health issues among the homeless, or I'm interested in studying unemployment among the homeless. Or if you are gonna focus on a specific subgroup, you may say, I like to study the homeless population in our city or in Texas. And later in the next step, you can think about how you'd like to approach your research topic. Would you like to describe, to be more descriptive? It means to address questions like what, where, when, how, or are you more interested in studying why? Or would you like to discover and explore something new about this population or this problem. There are different approaches to make your research topic more clear. Let's say you might be interested in an exploratory study. That means you would like to study something that's understudied or not many people talk about. And then you'd like to explore what is going on about this specific population or a specific problem. Another approach to research is descriptive, which is something is used frequently in research, in social research or social work research. And you may be interested in describing events or situations about a specific population or about a specific problem. And you may look at in the problem or population in many different ways. Like, for example, you might be interested to see the prevalence of a social problem. You might be interested to see how many homeless population live in Texas, in the state of Texas. Or this is kind of jobs is done by the US Census, and you may just be curious about the numbers. Or you may be interested about the demographic characteristics. You might be interested to see what percentage of the homeless population in Texas are women, or what races, what age groups they belong, which is invaluable research question. You may, in descriptive study, you may be interested in comparison. You might be eager to know, for example, what differences exist between two subgroups of the homeless population, like the homeless groups who live in New York and the homeless population living in Texas. Are there any significant differences in their needs or in their strengths or their health service utilization, and so on? You may also be interested in describing living experience of the population of your interest. I may say I'd like to know about the living experience of the homeless population in Amarillo to see how the homeless population survive in the streets or how they meet their basic needs. Again, as one different kind of descriptive study, you might be interested to study the behavior or culture of a specific group. Come back to our example about the homelessness. You may be interested to see how the homeless utilize health service. Also, another interesting descriptive way to look at the population of interest or the problem you are going to study is to see the change over time. You might be interested to see how was the health status among the homeless before and after the Great Recession. Did the Great Recession had any impacts on the homeless population's health? Other than the descriptive approach to study, you may look at the study in an explanatory way. This kind of study is to address the questions of why. And again, this might be, again, in many different ways. You may be interested to see what does affect the problem or phenomenon of the study. What does affect it? For example, what factors do affect the unemployment among the homeless? And even you might be interested to be more specific. You might say what risk factors or what protective factors do affect the unemployment among the homeless population in the state of Texas. See, here we are more specific. Or you may look at explanatory research in a different way. You may be interested to examine what are the consequences of the problem or phenomenon of the study. What are the consequences of unemployment among the homeless? And again, to be more specific, what are the consequences of the unemployment among the homeless for the community? Or what are the consequences for the homeless population? A different kind of explanatory study, which is more sophisticated and advanced kind of research, is causal study, to see a cause and effect relationship, which is usually needing some kinds of experiments or longitudinal studies. Another tip for narrowing down your research topic is to examine the effectiveness of a program or policy. You might be interested, for example, to see the housing first interventions for the homeless population, how effective was this intervention for the homeless population. And whatever now we talked is not an exhaustive list of potential research topics. These are just kind of ideas that help you be more specific. Another tip here is to do a brief research, for example, in Google Scholar, that I'm going to show you how to do this research. I hope you see my screen. You can go to Google Scholar and search about your topic and to get some ideas. This doesn't mean that to copy what is in the Google Scholar. No, this is just to get some ideas that you discover your interests. When you are searching, like for example, homelessness, you may see you will find a lot of literature, but I hope you are seeing my screen. But on the left side of the Google Scholar, there are some time periods. You can choose any specific time periods and limit your research to that period of time. For example, it's recommended that you look at like 5 years ago, since 5 years ago, to look at the research to have more up-to-date and recent literature. Okay, let's back to my file. And also, this is the first step, is just the introduction of your research proposal. In the future, in the second section of the research proposal, which is literature review, we are gonna narrow down the topic more. And to get that literature review, the second section will help us to get very unique research question that nobody has studied in the past. I'll talk about this part hopefully in the next future. And just please let me know any questions you have, and if anything is not clear, just send me an email and I will be happy to clarify about that. Thank you so much for your attention.